The child you carry is illegitimate. They're trying to frame me so cruelly. And my husband, he declared our marriage over right then and there. I was kicked out, humiliated, and forced to face childbirth alone. But I swear I will make them all pay. Before the story begins, please write in the comments where you're watching from. Don't forget to like and subscribe so this channel can grow and bring you even more compelling stories. The atmosphere in Lucas and Hannah's home that afternoon was warm and full of gratitude. The large house was decorated simply yet elegantly, with pastel balloon garlands and beautiful floral centerpieces that brought a festive mood to every room. A large stack of beautifully wrapped gifts on the entryway table signaled the number of guests present. This was the day of Hannah's baby shower, a moment both she and Lucas had awaited with immense joy. The guests, mostly extended family and close neighbors, sat comfortably on the plush carpet in the living room. The gentle hum of conversation and laughter filled the air. A local pastor was invited to offer a prayer for the baby and the parents-to-be. Hannah sat gracefully, her elegantly styled hair framing her radiant face, perfectly matching her cream-colored maternity dress. Her perfectly round belly moved slightly from time to time as if the baby could feel the happiness surrounding its mother. Beside her, her husband Lucas sat tall and proud in a crisp white polo shirt. Occasionally, his hand would reach out to gently caress Hannah's stomach, a small gesture that always made Hannah feel like the luckiest woman in the world. They looked like the perfect couple in everyone's eyes, young, successful, and soon to be blessed with a child. Hannah glanced at her husband, her heart overflowing with gratitude. Lucas was her true love. The man who always protected her. The man she believed would be the best father to their child. In the front row sat Annabelle, Hannah's mother-in-law, and Tara, her sister-in-law. Annabelle was smiling, though Hannah felt that smile never quite reached her eyes. Since the beginning of their marriage, Hannah had always sensed Annabelle's disapproval, but she always pushed those dark thoughts aside, blaming them on her own pregnancy hormones. Tara, on the other hand, was busy with her phone, occasionally whispering to her mother with a smirk. Hannah chose to ignore it. Today was her happy day. She wouldn't let anything small ruin this beautiful atmosphere. She needed to focus on the prayers for a smooth delivery. The prayer service finally concluded. The pastor closed with a long blessing to which all the guests said amen. A touching mood enveloped the room. Lucas held Hannah's hand tightly, helping her stand to greet the guests who were beginning to move toward the catered buffet. A constant smile graced Hannah's lips as she accepted congratulations and well wishes from relatives. Everything felt perfect, exactly as she had dreamed, until a few moments later a hysterical cry suddenly shattered the cheerful mood. The sound came from Annabelle. All eyes immediately turned to Hannah's mother-in-law. Annabelle stood, trembling, tears streaming down her face. She pointed a shaking finger at a server carrying a large, beautifully decorated cake. "Stop! Stop all of this!" she shrieked. Lucas was the first to react. He rushed to his mother's side, his face etched with worry. "Mom, what is it?" "What's wrong?" he asked, trying to calm her. Tara, his sister, immediately wrapped an arm around her mother, but instead of calming her, she seemed to add fuel to the fire. "It's okay, Mom. Just let it go," Tara said, in a voice feigning sadness yet loud enough for everyone to hear. "I know you can't take it anymore. We've been bearing this shame for too long." The family members present began to whisper among themselves. The warm atmosphere abruptly turned tense and filled with questions. "What shame, Tara?" "What's going on?" asked an uncle from Lucas's side. Hannah, still standing near the food table, felt a terrible premonition crawl up her spine. Her stomach suddenly tightened. She walked slowly toward the crowd. "Annabelle, why are you crying? Is something wrong?" Hannah asked gently, trying to take her mother-in-law's hand. Annabelle snatched her hand away violently. Her red eyes stared at Hannah with a thick, palpable hatred. "You," she screeched, her voice shrill, silencing the entire room. "You hypocrite! How dare you hold this party? How dare you lie to everyone? Do you think we're all stupid?" Hannah was stunned. Her heart pounded in her chest. "Lie about what I don't understand." "Don't understand," Annabelle laughed cynically. "Whose child do you think you're carrying? Do you think that's my grandchild? Do you think that's Lucas's child?" Hannah's world seemed to stop spinning. The accusation was so cruel, so unexpected. "Annabelle, watch what you're saying," Hannah cried out, her voice beginning to tremble, holding back tears and rage. "That is Lucas's child. That is your grandchild." "Oh, stop denying it," Tara chimed in quickly. She held her phone up high. "Everyone needs to see what this woman is really like. Plays the perfect innocent wife, but her behavior is disgusting." Tara began showing a photo on her phone screen to the guests. The photo showed Hannah in what looked like a cozy embrace, with another man in a hotel lobby. Hannah's eyes widened. She recognized the picture. That's not true, that's photoshopped. That man is a coworker from a conference out of state. It was a group photo, but it's been cropped, Hannah exclaimed, trying to defend herself. Her tears could no longer be held back. That's what every tramp would say, Annabelle snapped. She turned to Lucas, who had been frozen in shock. Lucas, look at your wife, son. Look at this hussy you've been so proud of. She has betrayed you. She has brought shame upon our family. The child she's carrying is illegitimate. Lucas, a bastard. The word bastard hit Hannah's ears like a bomb. Her body went weak. The guests were no longer whispering. They stared at Hannah with a mixture of expressions. Some were shocked, some sneered, and some looked at her with contempt. Lucas's extended family looked furious, feeling their family name had been tarnished. Hannah looked at Lucas, searching for defense in her husband's eyes. This was Lucas, the man who loved her, the man who knew who she was. Lucas, honey, that's not true. It's a lie. Please believe me. Hannah sobbed, reaching for his hand. Lucas looked at his mother, who was crying hysterically. He looked at Tara, who kept fanning the flames. He looked at his aunts and uncles, who were staring at him with disappointment. His pride as a man, as the head of the family, felt trampled in front of everyone. His worried face now turned red with rage. His mother kept pressing him. You have to be firm, Lucas, as a husband. Throw her out. Divorce her. Don't let that illegitimate child be born bearing our family name. Lucas clenched his fists. His eyes, now filled with a strange hatred, stared sharply at Hannah. It was not the look of love she was used to seeing. Honey, don't listen to her, I swear. Enough. Hannah Lucas's roar thundered through the room, cutting off her words. Enough. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to have a wife like you. In front of my entire family at our child's baby shower. You dare do this. But I didn't do it. It's a lie. Hannah screamed hysterically. I don't care, Lucas shouted even louder. His emotions were at a boiling point, blinded by his family's lies and the overwhelming shame. I refuse to have a child from your filthy actions. Listen, everyone, listen. Lucas pointed at Hannah's tear-streaked face. If that child really isn't mine, and I'm sure it's not, then starting this second, our marriage is over. I want a divorce. Those words hit Hannah harder than anything. A divorce. An end she had never imagined. Her legs could no longer support her body. An immense pain shot through her abdomen. A violent cramp seized her uterus. Her vision began to blur. The last thing she heard was a triumphant shriek from Tara. Hannah's body collapsed to the floor, fainting amidst the humiliation on what was supposed to be her happiest day. The faint scent of rubbing alcohol was the first thing to greet Hannah's senses. Slowly she opened her heavy, swollen eyes. Her head throbbed with pain. She found herself lying alone in her bedroom, the room she had shared with Lucas. The room felt cold and empty. The remnants of the baby shower decorations she had put up with such joy that morning now seemed like a painful mockery. Instantly, all the memories of the afternoon flooded back. Annabelle's accusations, Tara's photoshopped picture, Lucas's hateful stare, and those cursed words. I want a divorce. Hannah sobbed quietly, her hand reflexively clutching her large belly. A bastard, her mother-in-law's hiss echoed in her mind. Tears streamed down her face again. No, little one. You are my child, you are your father's child, she whispered softly. She tried to get up. The pain in her abdomen was still there, but the pain in her heart was far more dominant. She had to talk to Lucas. She had to straighten this out. Lucas must have just been emotional. Her husband loved her. She was sure of it. Staggering, Hannah walked out of the bedroom, but she stopped at the doorway. The living room was empty. No more guests, no more food. All that remained was the mess of a party not yet cleaned up, and on the front porch under the dim light of the lamp she saw a sight that shattered her heart. 2 of her large suitcases and a handbag were just sitting there on the cold porch floor. Her belongings had been packed and thrown out. So you're awake, you tramp. A cold voice stabbed Hannah in the back. She turned to see Annabelle standing with her hands on her hips in front of the family room door. Beside her, Tara smiled mockingly. The motherly face she once respected was now a mask of hatred. Annabelle, why are my things outside? Where's Lucas? I need to talk to him, Hannah said in a hoarse voice. Annabelle laughed scornfully. Still have the nerve to call me by my name. I refuse to have a degenerate daughter-in-law like you. And Lucas, he doesn't want to see your face anymore. Get your things and get out of this house. Don't defile my son's home any longer. But it's nighttime. I'm heavily pregnant. Where am I supposed to go? Hannah pleaded. She tried to approach, but Tara quickly blocked her way. Hey, sister-in-law. Oh, sorry, former sister-in-law, Tara sneered. That's your problem, isn't it? Your own fault for cheating. Lucas has already said it's over. You're nobody here anymore. Get out now, or we'll call security to drag you out. Tara, Annabelle, please, this is all a misunderstanding. That photo is fake. You know it's not real, Hannah sobbed. Enough with the drama, Annabelle snapped. She stepped forward and shoved Hannah's shoulder roughly toward the front door. Get out! I said get out. Hannah stumbled. She refused to leave before seeing Lucas. She saw her husband standing in the side garden, his back to her smoking in silence. With the last of her strength, Hannah ran towards Lucas, ignoring Annabelle's pushes. Lucas, please listen to me, Hannah cried, grabbing her husband's arm. Lucas turned. His eyes were red, but his gaze was empty and cold. He violently shook her hand off his arm. You believe their lies. You believe that fake photo more than me, your wife. This is your child, Lucas. I swear to God, this is your flesh and blood. Hannah fell to her knees at Lucas's feet, clutching his trousers. She no longer cared about her pride. Lucas looked down at the woman kneeling before him. A flicker of doubt crossed his eyes, but the image of his mother's hysterical tears and the sneers of his family flooded his mind. His mother was right. This shame was too great. It's over, Hannah, Lucas said flatly. He didn't even use their term of endearment. I've filed for divorce. We're nothing to each other. Go. But where will I go? It's late. I don't have a single dollar on me. My family is all the way across the country, Hannah whimpered. That's your problem, Lucas answered coldly. He turned his back on her and took another drag from his cigarette. Don't ever come near me again. I refuse to acknowledge that bastard as my child. That back that used to be her support now felt like an impenetrable wall. Hannah's heart shattered into a million pieces. The man she loved, the father of the child she carried, was throwing her away because of a vile lie from his own family. Hey, get going, Annabelle. And Tara were already pulling Hannah's body, dragging her towards the front gate. Hannah no longer fought back. Her energy was gone. She could only weep in silence. Maria, their housekeeper, watched the scene from the kitchen window. She cried silently, too afraid to help the kind woman she worked for. The tall iron gate was opened. Tara threw Hannah's handbag onto the street. Here's your stuff. Don't ever come back. Wait! Hannah suddenly shouted, startling Annabelle and Tara. What now? Annabelle asked curtly. Hannah looked at the two women then, at Lucas, who was still standing stiffly in the garden. Her tears stopped flowing, replaced by an empty gaze that held a burning ember. You will regret this, she hissed. Tara laughed. Regret it. We're thankful. The iron gate slammed shut in Hannah's face, followed by the sound of the lock turning. That sound seemed to mark the end of her once happy life. Hannah stood alone on the quiet street. The night seemed to understand her sorrow. The sky began to drizzle, which slowly turned into a heavy downpour. She had nowhere to go. She had no money. Her phone was in her handbag, but she didn't know who to call. Calling her family in her hometown would only make them worry and panic. Her hijab and dress were soaked in an instant. The night air was bone-chilling. She walked aimlessly, following the sidewalk of the upscale neighborhood that now felt so alien. Her stomach cramped again. Pain and cold mixed into one. Every step was heavy. She saw a security post, but she was too ashamed to ask for help. The guard must have heard the commotion from inside her house. After walking for nearly an hour, her legs could no longer carry her. She saw a closed storefront. The awning over its entrance offered a little shelter from the pouring rain. Hannah slumped onto the dirty, cold floor of the alcove. She hugged her belly tightly, trying to give some warmth to her baby. Her body shivered violently. She was hungry, she was cold, and she was desperate. She cried her heart out, pouring out all the pain, betrayal, and injustice she had received. In the midst of her tears, she felt a strong kick from inside her womb. That kick seemed to jolt her back to reality. She was not alone. There was another life inside her depending on her. An innocent life that was being insulted along with her. Hannah wiped her tears away fiercely. No, she couldn't give up. She couldn't be defeated. If Lucas, Annabelle, and Tara thought they had destroyed her, they were dead wrong. Forgive me, my child, she whispered to her belly. Mommy won't be weak. You are strong, and I have to be strong for you. Hannah stared into the dark night. Her eyes, once full of despair, now radiated a burning determination. "Whatever happens, I will fight for you. I will bring you into this world safely. And I swear I will prove the truth. Those who slandered and abandoned us, they will pay for all of this. I will make sure of it." The bone-chilling cold finally woke Hannah. She opened her eyes to find herself in the same spot, the dirty alcove of a closed shop. The rain had stopped, leaving behind a damp morning air and the smell of wet earth. Her body ached all over. Her clothes, wet all night, were now half dry and stiff against her skin, making her feel itchy and cold. Her stomach churned painfully, not just from the residual cramps, but from a deep, gnawing hunger. She hadn't eaten anything since lunch the day before her baby shower began. Her head was dizzy, her vision slightly blurry. She had to move. She had to find help, not for herself, but for the baby in her womb. With what little strength she had left, Hannah forced herself to stand. She leaned against the shop wall for a moment, catching her heavy breath. She adjusted her disheveled hijab. She no longer cared about her appearance. All she needed was a place to rest and a warm glass of water. She started walking, limping down the street that was beginning to fill with people on their way to work. Their stares felt like needles. They saw a heavily pregnant woman, her dress soaked and ruined, with a swollen face. Some looked on with pity, others with suspicion. Hannah kept her head down, quickening her pace as much as she could. Her swollen feet ached with every step. After walking for about 15 minutes, she saw a simple diner at the end of the street. Smoke billowed from its small kitchen, spreading the aroma of bacon and coffee, which made Hannah's stomach churn even more. A small sign that read "Rosie's Diner" hung out front. Hannah hesitated. She didn't have a single penny to pay, but she couldn't go on any longer. In front of the diner, a middle-aged woman with a kind face was sweeping the floor. The woman, none other than Rosie, looked up and saw Hannah standing hesitantly in front of her diner. Rosie's heart was immediately touched. She saw Hannah's pitiful condition, heavily pregnant, shivering and looking extremely pale. "Honey, are you all right?" Rosie asked, gently stopping her sweeping. That gentle voice broke down Hannah's defenses. Tears streamed down her face again. "Ma'am, I'm hungry. I'm so cold," she sobbed. Rosie didn't ask any more questions. She immediately put down her broom and helped Hannah into her still-empty diner. "Come on, dear, sit down inside. Don't cry." Rosie sat Hannah down on one of the long wooden benches. She hurried to the back and returned with a warm cup of sweet tea. "Drink this, dear. It'll warm you up," she said. Hannah accepted the mug with trembling hands. She drank the sweet tea slowly. The warmth and sweetness spread throughout her body, giving her a little strength. "Wait a moment," Rosie said. She got a plate, filled it with warm scrambled eggs, a piece of toast, and some hash browns. "Eat up, honey. The little one inside must be hungry too." Hannah looked at the food before her. She started crying again. "But ma'am, I don't have any money to pay." Rosie smiled sincerely. "Don't you worry about that. Just eat. Paying can wait. The important thing is that you and the baby are healthy." Hannah couldn't say another word. She picked up the fork and began to eat. She ate ravenously, as if she hadn't seen food in days. Rosie sat across from her, watching with a compassionate gaze. "Dear, if you don't mind me asking, what happened to you? How did you end up like this? Where's your husband?" Rosie asked carefully after Hannah had finished her meal. Hannah paused for a moment. She didn't know where to begin, but seeing the sincerity in Rosie's eyes, she felt she could trust this woman. Hannah told her what had happened, though not everything. She just said that she was slandered by her husband's family and kicked out of her house the night before, heavily pregnant, and that her husband had divorced her on the spot. Rosie listened with bated breath, her face flushed with anger. "Good heavens. How could your husband and his mother be so cruel? I can't believe people could do that to a pregnant woman, especially with their own child." "I don't know where to go, ma'am. My family lives far away," Hannah said softly. Rosie thought for a moment. She looked at Hannah, then towards the back door of her diner. "Honey, behind the diner there's a small room. My daughter used it before she got married and moved away. It's empty now. It's not much, just a thin mattress and a fan. The bathroom is outside, shared with the diner. But at least you'll be safe here. Not cold out on the street." Hannah's eyes widened in disbelief. "Ma'am, are you serious? You'd let me stay here?" "Of course, honey. I can't bear to see you like this." "Just think of me as your own mother," Rosie said. "Later, when you're feeling stronger, you can help me out in the diner. Wash dishes, chop vegetables, whatever you can do. You don't have to pay rent as long as you have a place to stay until you have the baby." Hannah immediately got up from her seat. She knelt and hugged Rosie's legs. "Oh God, ma'am. Thank you so much. You've saved me and my baby. I will never forget your kindness. Get up, dear. It's not good for a pregnant woman to be kneeling like that." Rosie helped Hannah to her feet. "Come on, I'll show you to the room." From that day on, a new chapter of Hannah's life began. She lived in the small room behind Rosie's diner. It was a far cry from the luxury she once had, but it was filled with peace. Every day she helped Rosie at the diner. She woke up early, went to the market with her prepared ingredients, served customers, and washed dishes. Though tired, Hannah did it with a sincere heart. She wanted to repay Rosie's kindness. Meanwhile, in the luxurious house she had left, life went on as usual, or at least that's what they wanted to portray. Annabelle and Tara seemed ecstatic. They were often seen shopping, spending Lucas's money. Annabelle had even started looking for a new wife for Lucas, as if the divorce was a cause for celebration. Tara became more powerful in the house, enjoying her position as the only beloved daughter. But Lucas wasn't as happy. He couldn't focus at work. The image of Hannah crying and begging at his feet kept replaying in his mind. The echo of his own declaration of divorce rang in his ears. At night, he would often wake up to find the other side of the bed empty. There was a strange void. A few times, he opened his nightstand drawer to look at their wedding photo, but every time doubt crept in, Annabelle was there. Lucas stopped thinking about that woman. She was a disgrace. "Soon you'll have a new wife, someone much better, more devout, and with a clear background," Annabelle said one evening when she found Lucas brooding on the bedroom balcony. Lucas could only remain silent. His heart was torn between regret and a wounded pride. 2 months passed quickly. Hannah's belly was now very large. Her due date was just weeks away. She saved every penny from the wages Rosie insisted on giving her for the cost of a midwife. She was determined to deliver her baby safely. One afternoon, the diner was busy. Hannah was wrapping up a takeout order for a customer when she felt a sharp pain in her lower abdomen, followed by a gush of warm fluid down her legs. Her water had broken. "Rosie, Rosie," Hannah cried out, holding onto the counter to support herself. Rosie, who was at the cash register, immediately panicked. "Oh my lord, honey, it's time," Rosie quickly closed the diner. She shouted for a neighbor who owned a taxi. Stumbling, they helped Hannah into the car. "Quick to the birthing center," Rosie urged. Throughout the journey, Hannah moaned in pain. Her contractions were coming fast and strong. Rosie continuously prayed, holding Hannah's hand, giving her strength. Upon arriving at the modest birthing center, Hannah was immediately taken to the delivery room. The midwife, a capable, middle-aged woman, quickly examined her. "You're already 8 centimeters dilated. It won't be long now," she said. The birth was a struggle between life and death. Hannah went through it alone with no husband by her side. Only Rosie was there, faithfully accompanying her, whispering prayers and encouragement. Hannah screamed, cried, and almost gave up. Her energy was completely drained. She thought of Lucas. She thought of the insults from her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. The emotional pain mixed with the physical pain, giving her one last burst of strength. "Come on, dear, just a little more. I can see the head," the midwife encouraged. "Congratulations, it's a boy, healthy and perfect," the midwife announced. Tears of relief flowed down Hannah's cheeks. All her pain seemed to vanish instantly. The midwife cleaned the baby and brought him to Hannah. The first moment their skin touched was magical. Hannah kissed her tiny red-faced baby. "Congratulations, honey," Rosie whispered, crying tears of joy. The midwife smiled, but she was observing the baby's face intently. "He's a handsome one, Miss Hannah. So fair." She paused for a moment, her eyes scrutinizing every inch of the baby's face. "Is something wrong?" Hannah asked, sensing something odd. The midwife looked at Hannah and then smiled faintly. "It's amazing, isn't it, God's work? I've been a midwife for decades, and this is the first time I've seen a newborn who looks exactly like his father." "What do you mean?" "Yes," the midwife said. "His nose, his chin, the shape of his eyebrows. And look here." The midwife pointed to a small dot on the baby's left cheek. "There's a birthmark right here. Exactly like Mr. Lucas, the real estate developer, who's often in the local paper. Isn't he your husband?" Hannah stared at the birthmark on her son's cheek. A birthmark identical to Lucas's. Tears welled up in her eyes again, but this time they were not tears of sorrow. They were tears of victory. "Yes," she whispered. "He is my husband. And this is my first piece of evidence." 2 months had passed since the birth of her son. Hannah named him Adam, meaning man. a name that was both a prayer and a reminder of the struggle they had endured. Hannah's life in the small room behind Rosie's diner felt more colorful with Adam's presence. The baby boy grew healthy and handsome, becoming a source of happiness for Hannah and for Rosie, who already considered Adam her own grandson. Hannah worked even harder now. Besides helping at the diner, she also started baking pastries in the morning to sell at Rosie's. Little by little, she saved money for her and Adam's living expenses. She had made peace with her past. Not that she had forgotten, but she chose to focus on raising her son. She never tried to contact Lucas. To her, that man had died along with the divorce he had declared. She just wanted to live in peace. But fate had other plans. The small peace she had just built was about to be disturbed again. One afternoon, when the diner was quiet and Adam was fast asleep in his makeshift hammock, a uniformed courier arrived asking for her. "Are you Miss Hannah?" "Yes, that's me," Hannah replied, her heart pounding. She rarely received mail. The courier handed her a thick brown envelope with the logo of a prominent law firm. Hannah's heart felt like it stopped beating. With trembling hands, she signed the receipt. After the courier left, Hannah sat down on a diner bench. Rosie, seeing Hannah's tense face, quickly approached. "What is it, honey?" Hannah didn't answer. She opened the envelope slowly. Inside were several sheets of official paper. Her eyes scanned the lines of stiff legal language. A summons to appear in family court. Petitioner Lucas. Respondent Hannah. Hannah's breath caught in her throat. This wasn't just a summons to formalize their divorce. Her eyes fixed on one of the points in the petition. Lucas, through his lawyer, was officially filing a suit to deny that Adam was his biological son. Lucas was demanding that the court declare the child born to Hannah as a child born out of wedlock, with no right to bear the Lucas family name. They hadn't just thrown her out. They were trying to legally erase her son's existence. She gripped a glass of water on the table in front of her. She squeezed it so tightly that the glass cracked and shattered in her hand. Fresh blood dripped from her wounded palm. But Hannah felt no pain. The pain in her heart was a raging fire. This was the final humiliation. This was a declaration of war. The nerve. "What kind of people are they?" exclaimed Rosie, who had read the letter over her shoulder. "It's so obvious Adam is a carbon copy of his father, and they still have the guts to say he's not their son." The anger that Hannah had suppressed for so long exploded. The vow she had made in the shop alcove that night burned anew. They thought she was a weak woman they could trample on forever. They were wrong. Rosie Hannah said, her voice low and cold, her eyes staring sharply at the letter in her hand. "Could you please bandage my hand?" Rosie immediately fetched the first aid kit. While treating Hannah's wound, she looked at her adopted daughter with concern. "Honey, what are you going to do? They have a powerful lawyer." "What do we have? We have the truth, Rosie," Hannah replied. She looked at Adam, still sleeping peacefully. "And I will not let anyone insult my son." But Hannah knew the truth alone wasn't enough. Adam's resemblance to Lucas might convince people, but in court it could be debated. Annabelle and Tara would surely lie under oath. They would bring that photoshopped picture. She needed irrefutable proof, something that could silence them forever. That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. She sat on the edge of her bed, gently rocking Adam's cradle. She racked her brain, trying to remember every detail of that house, every corner, every conversation. She had to find something. She remembered Tara. Her sister-in-law often behaved strangely, bringing questionable male friends to the house when Lucas was at work. Hannah had always felt uneasy about Tara's behavior. Then, a memory flashed in her mind. Something she had long forgotten. A week before the baby shower, feeling concerned about Tara's behavior and the security of the house, Hannah had secretly bought a mini CCTV camera, a tiny nanny cam. She had installed it herself on a bookshelf in the living room, hidden among a stack of books and a ceramic vase. The camera had a direct view of the entire living room, the very place where the slander had occurred. She remembered clearly the camera was connected to a small decoder that stored the data, and she had hidden that decoder in a drawer of her vanity table in her bedroom. A drawer she always kept locked. Hannah's heart raced. Was it still there? Did Annabelle and Tara find it? They couldn't have known. They weren't that clever. If that device was still there, then the entire incident from that afternoon was recorded. Annabelle's accusations. Tara's photoshopped picture, their false oaths, and perhaps even their conversations before the event began. A plan began to form in her head. She had to get that recording. But how? She couldn't just walk into that house. She would be thrown out immediately. She needed help from the inside. There was only one person who might be willing to help her. One person she had seen crying at the kitchen window as she was being dragged out. Maria, the housekeeper who had worked there for a long time and had always been kind to her. Hannah picked up Rosie's old cell phone. She still knew Maria's number by heart. Her fingers quickly dialed the numbers. It rang once, twice. "Hello," the voice on the other end was quiet and nervous. "Maria, it's Hannah," Hannah whispered. There was a shocked gasp. "Miss Hannah, oh my God, where are you? Are you okay, Mrs.?" Annabelle said, You ran away." "I didn't run away, Maria. I was kicked out," Hannah cut in quickly. "Maria, I don't have much time. I need your help. This is very important. It's about the life and death of my son, Adam. Your son, you've had the baby. Congratulations, a boy or a girl?" Maria's voice was sincere. "A boy, Maria. I'll tell you later. Please listen. In my old room in the bottom drawer of the vanity, the one with the lock, there's a small black box. It's a CCTV storage device. I have to get it, Maria. It has proof that I'm innocent. Can you please get it for me?" There was a moment of silence. Hannah could hear Maria's heavy breathing. "CCTV, ma'am? I didn't know there was a CCTV." No one knew Maria. "Please, you're the only one who can help me," Hannah urged. Maria's voice suddenly dropped to a terrified whisper. "Ma'am, it's bad. Really bad." "What's bad, Maria?" "Your room, ma'am. They're going to demolish it." "What?" "Yes, ma'am. This morning, Mrs. Annabelle called some contractors. She said your room is going to be completely renovated, turned into a luxury guest room. She said she wants every trace of you gone from this house. The workers are coming tomorrow morning, ma'am. They're going to start destroying all the furniture in your room." Hannah felt the blood drain from her face. Tomorrow morning. That meant all her belongings, including the vanity and the decoder, would be destroyed. She was out of time. "We don't have time," Maria Hannah hissed. "It has to be tonight. You have to get it for me tonight." The news from Maria hit Hannah like a lightning bolt. Renovations tomorrow morning. All furniture to be destroyed. It meant her only hope, the small black box containing the truth, would be smashed to pieces if she didn't act tonight. Panic seized her. She had no other choice. She had to go there tonight, whatever the risk. "Miss Hannah, hello," Maria's anxious voice came through the phone. "Maria, listen to me," Hannah said, quickly trying to keep her voice from shaking. "I'm coming over there tonight, right now. I have to get that box myself. Is Lucas home?" A heavy sigh. Lucas hasn't come home yet, ma'am. Said he's working late. It's just Mrs. Annabelle and Miss Tara in the house. They're watching TV in the family room. The volume is really loud. Working late. That was a small piece of good news amidst the bad. At least she wouldn't have to face Lucas. "Okay, Maria. The back door to the kitchen, can it be opened from the outside?" "No, ma'am. It's locked from the inside. But I'll wait for you in the kitchen. I'll unlock it for you, but you have to be very, very careful. If Mrs. Annabelle finds out." "I'll be careful, Maria. Thank you. Wait for me." Hannah hung up. She immediately went to Rosie, who was cleaning up her diner. "Rosie, I need your help. I have to go out for a bit. It's an urgent matter. It's about the evidence for the trial." Rosie looked at her with worry. "At this time of night, honey, where are you going?" "It's dangerous. I have to go to Lucas's house," she confessed. What Rosie almost dropped the plate she was holding. "Are you crazy, honey? They'll throw you out again, or worse, they could call the police." "I won't go through the front, Rosie. I have a way. Please. This is my only chance to get the proof that can save Adam's good name." The name Adam was always the key to Rosie's heart. Rosie looked at Hannah for a long time, seeing the desperate determination in the young woman's eyes. Finally, she nodded in resignation. "All right, but how will you get there? Can I borrow your scooter? I promise I'll be careful." With a heavy heart, Rosie handed over the keys to her old scooter. "Adam can stay here with me. Come back quickly, dear. My heart is not at ease." Hannah kissed the forehead of her sleeping son. This was the first time she would be separated from him, even for just a few hours. Her heart ached. "Forgive Mommy, sweetheart. Mommy is going to fight for you." She took a small shoulder bag, put her old wallet containing the key to the vanity drawer inside, and started Rosie's scooter. The city streets were not too busy that night. Hannah sped through the darkness, her heart pounding. A mix of fear and adrenaline. She had to succeed. Failure meant being destroyed forever. She didn't dare go through the main gate of Lucas's housing complex. The security guards there would surely recognize her. Hannah remembered a back alley on the other side of the complex, a narrow path that led to the back gardens of the luxury homes, including Lucas's. She parked the scooter at the entrance of a dark alley far enough away that the sound wouldn't be heard. Then she walked, sneaking between the shadows of the trees. The night air was cold, but a cold sweat beaded on her forehead. Finally, she reached the back of Lucas's house. The backyard fence wasn't too high, only about chest height. Lucas had deliberately kept it low to make the garden view feel more open. Hannah climbed the fence carefully, trying not to make a sound. Her long dress and hijab made it a bit difficult, but she managed to jump down onto the dew-damp grass. Safe. She tiptoed towards the back kitchen door. As promised, the door was slightly ajar. Maria stood behind it, her face pale in the dim kitchen light. "Ma'am, quickly come in," Maria whispered, pulling Hannah inside and immediately locking the door again. The sound of Annabelle and Tara's laughter could be heard faintly from the family room, mixed with the sound of a soap opera on TV. "They're still in the front, ma'am." "Your room is on the second floor. Hurry. I'll keep watch here," Maria said, trembling. "Thank you, Maria." "Thank you so much," Hannah whispered sincerely. Hannah slipped off her flats to ensure her hard soles wouldn't click against the cold marble floor. She tiptoed. Her heart felt like it would leap out of her chest. Each step felt so heavy. This was her house, a place where she had once been happy. Now she had to sneak around like a thief. She reached the bottom of the stairs. It was clear. Slowly, one by one, she climbed the stairs. The sound of the TV from the family room masked her footsteps. Finally, she reached the second floor. The hallway was dark. She hurried to the door of what used to be her master bedroom. Her hand trembled as she held the doorknob. She pushed it gently. The door opened without a sound. The room was dark, with only a sliver of moonlight coming through the window. Hannah didn't dare turn on the lights. She used the dim light from her phone to see. The room was the same as when she left it, but now it felt cold, empty, and dusty. It was clear Lucas hadn't slept in this room since she left. That gave her a small bit of relief. Hannah went straight to her vanity. She fumbled for the small key in her wallet. With a trembling hand, she inserted the key into the lock of the bottom drawer. A soft click. The drawer opened. Her eyes immediately found it. Behind a pile of old fabrics lay a small black box. The CCTV decoder. It was still there. Safe. Hannah felt like crying with relief. She quickly unplugged the cables connected to the decoder, put the black box and its adapter into her small shoulder bag. Success. She got it. She quickly closed the drawer, locked it, and turned to leave the room. She had to get out of there. She had just stepped out of the bedroom door when she suddenly heard footsteps on the stairs. It wasn't Maria's quiet steps. These were lazy, shuffling steps. "Maria, make me some hot chocolate, will you? I'm hungry." It was Tara's voice. Hannah froze. Tara was coming up the stairs, not to the kitchen. It seemed Tara was going to her own room first, which was next to the master bedroom. If Tara saw her, it would all be over. Hannah panicked. She looked around. There was no place to hide in the hallway. Tara's bedroom door was just a few feet away. Without thinking, Hannah slipped back into the master bedroom but didn't close the door completely. She hid behind the door in the narrow gap between the door and the wall. Her heart pounded so hard she was afraid Tara could hear it. Tara's footsteps got closer. Hannah saw Tara's shadow pass through the crack in the door. Tara went into her room. Hannah could hear Tara turn on music from her phone. This was her chance. Now or never. Hannah pushed the door gently, stepped out of the room, and began to tiptoe down the stairs. She moved as fast as she could without making a sound. She was halfway down. "Maria, what's taking so long with that hot chocolate?" Tara's voice suddenly called out again, this time from upstairs. The girl had apparently come out of her room again. Hannah was startled. She lost her balance for a second. Her foot accidentally knocked a small vase that was placed as decoration on one of the steps. Clink. The vase didn't break, but it rolled and made a loud enough noise in the quiet house. Hannah froze mid-staircase. What was that? Tara's voice came from above. Hannah didn't dare move. "Maria, is that you?" Tara shouted. No answer from the kitchen. Maria must be just as scared. Hannah heard Tara's footsteps coming down the stairs. Damn it, she was caught. No choice. Hannah stopped tiptoeing. She ran down the rest of the stairs. "Hey, who's that?" Tara, seeing Hannah's shadow running in the dark, screamed. Hannah didn't care. She ran through the dining room towards the kitchen. "A burglar, Mom, there's a burglar in the house," Tara shrieked, running after Hannah. Hannah reached the kitchen. Maria had already opened the back door wide. Her face was ashen. "Go, ma'am, run!" Annabelle, hearing Tara's screams, ran out of the family room. "What is it, Tara? A burglar were there." They ran to the back. "Looked like a pregnant woman," Tara yelled, still trying to catch up. Hannah was already in the backyard. She could hear Annabelle and Tara's shouts behind her calling for security. "Security. Security, catch that burglar. Don't let them get away." Hannah ran with all her might. Adrenaline pumped through her body. She didn't care about anything else. She had to escape. She climbed the back fence with a speed she didn't know she possessed. Her shoulder bag almost got snagged on the iron tip of the fence. She managed to jump down onto the alley pavement behind. Her knee slammed into the hard asphalt, making her wince in pain. But she didn't stop. She got up and ran, limping towards where her scooter was parked. She heard the sound of a security guard's whistle from the front post. They must have been alerted. With violently shaking hands, she tried to insert the key into the scooter's ignition. She failed several times because her hands were so unsteady. Finally, the engine roared to life. "Hey, stop!" A security guard running from his post saw her. Hannah didn't care. She hit the gas. Rosie's scooter sped away, leaving the housing complex behind. Hannah kept racing the scooter. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Not tears of sadness, but tears of relief mixed with rage. Her breath was ragged, her knee was scraped and bleeding. But inside her shoulder bag was a small black box, the object that held all their fates. She had escaped. She had succeeded. She laughed bitterly through her sobs. "You chased me like a thief in my own home," she hissed into the night wind. "You'll see. You will all see who the real thief is." Hannah parked Rosie's scooter in the narrow alley beside the diner, her breath still coming in ragged gasps. Her legs trembled violently, a leftover from the adrenaline that had flooded her system. Her injured knee throbbed as she dismounted. She leaned against the wall for a moment, trying to calm her racing heart. She had escaped. She had the proof. Limping, she entered the now-closed diner. Rosie met her at the back door, her face a mask of anxiety. Rosie hadn't slept faithfully, waiting for her. "Oh my God, honey, what happened to you? Your knee is bleeding," Rosie exclaimed in panic. "Were you seen? Were you chased?" "I'm fine, Rosie. Just fell a little," Hannah answered, her voice hoarse. "Where's Adam? He just fell back asleep." "He was so fussy looking for you," Rosie said, helping Hannah into her small room. "Here, let me clean that up for you." Hannah immediately hugged her son, who was sleeping peacefully in his cradle, kissing him over and over. Tears fell. She had almost failed to return to him. "I'm so sorry, my love. I'm sorry." "Did you get it, honey?" Rosie asked, quietly dabbing Hannah's knee with an alcohol wipe. Hannah winced at the sting. She nodded, her eyes flashing with triumph. "I got it, Rosie." She took off her shoulder bag. With a now steadier hand, she pulled out the small black box. The CCTV decoder. This object was her hope, the key to all her problems. "Here it is. The proof is right here," Hannah said. "What is this thing?" "It's so small," Rosie asked, looking at the box with confusion. "This is Pandora's box," Hannah answered grimly. "The box that holds all their wickedness. It's the storage device for a CCTV camera I installed in the living room." Rosie's eyes widened. "CCTV? You installed a camera in there?" Hannah nodded. "I put it in secretly a long time ago. I have to see what's on it now, Rosie." Hannah didn't have a laptop, but she remembered there was an old one. 4-inch tube TV in Rosie's diner, usually for the customers' entertainment. Below the TV was an old, rarely used DVD player. "Rosie, do that TV and DVD player still work?" Hannah asked. "They do. The picture gets a little shaky sometimes, but they work." "Why?" Hannah checked the cables on the decoder. There was a standard yellow, red, and white audio, video output cable, identical to the ports on the front of the DVD player. We can watch the recording on the TV." Enthusiastically, they both carried the decoder to the front of the diner. Rosie turned on the television. After a moment of static, the screen flickered to life. Hannah connected the cables from the decoder to the DVD player and then to the TV. The screen, which had been showing static, suddenly changed. A still image from a high angle. The living room of Lucas's house. The plush sofa, the marble coffee table, the spiral staircase in the distance, and the main door. It was all recorded clearly. "My goodness, it works. You can see everything," Rosie whispered in disbelief, her eyes glued to the screen. "Shh," Hannah hissed. She picked up the small remote control that came with the decoder. She had to find the recording from the exact date. This was the most nerve-wracking part. Was the recording still there? Had the memory filled up and been overwritten? She pressed the menu button on the remote. The display on the TV changed. She selected Archive Search, then Search by Date. With a trembling finger, she entered the date of the baby shower. The screen displayed several video files divided by the hour. Her heart pounded with relief. The recording was still there. "We start here, Rosie." The day of the party. Hannah played the recording from that afternoon right when the event began. They both watched in silence. The small TV screen replayed all the events. The solemn atmosphere of the baby shower, the pastor's prayer, Hannah's genuine smile next to Lucas. Everything looked normal and happy. Then, the hellish moment arrived. The recording clearly captured Annabelle suddenly standing up her face, a mask of feigned sadness, then starting to cry hysterically. "Stop! Stop all of this!" Annabelle's voice came clearly from the TV speakers, shrill and full of drama. Hannah clenched her fist. The scene continued. Tara provoking Annabelle, pointing at her. "How dare you hold a party for that illegitimate child? The camera recorded everything." The vile accusation. Tara proudly showing the photoshopped picture on her phone. Hannah's shocked face, the confused faces of the guests, and Lucas's face. Her husband's face slowly changing from worried to red with rage and shame. And finally, the climax that had shattered her heart. "Our marriage is over. I want a divorce," Lucas's voice thundered in the quiet diner. The recording clearly showed the moments before Hannah collapsed and fainted. Hannah covered her mouth, stifling a sob that threatened to escape. Reliving that trauma was excruciating. Rosie gently rubbed her back, her own eyes welling up. "This is strong evidence, honey. This proves they slandered you in front of so many people," Rosie said. "It's not enough," Rosie Hannah hissed, her eyes fixed on the screen. "This only proves they slandered me. I need proof that they knew it was slander. I need proof that they planned all of this." Hannah's finger moved over the remote's buttons again. They must have planned it. It couldn't have been spontaneous. Annabelle isn't smart enough to improvise like that. She rewound the recording. Not on the day of the party. She searched the recordings from the days before. One day before, nothing suspicious. Just Maria cleaning the house. She went back further, 2 days before the baby shower. The timestamp on the screen showed 10 p.m. The living room was empty. Lucas and Hannah were likely already in their upstairs bedroom. Suddenly, from the front door, Annabelle and Tara entered. They seemed to have just come home from somewhere. They both sat on the sofa directly under the CCTV camera's view. "Mom, it's done just like you ordered." Hannah heard Tara's voice clearly. She watched as Tara showed something on her phone screen to Annabelle. "Here, take a look," Annabelle said, leaning closer to Tara's phone. Rosie held her breath. "What are they talking about?" Hannah turned the TV volume up to maximum. Tara's cynical little laugh could be heard. "So, what do you think, Mom? My editing skills are pretty great, right? I took that picture of Hannah from the seminar in Denver, then I pasted a picture of one of my guy friends next to her. It looks like they're having a romantic hug in a hotel lobby, doesn't it?" Even though the original was a group photo with the other committee members. Hannah's heart felt like it stopped beating. This was it. This was the confession she needed. Annabelle on the TV screen nodded with satisfaction. Her face looked incredibly sly under the living room lights. "Excellent. Very good work. With this photo, we have a strong reason to attack her. No one will suspect a thing. So our plan for the baby shower is on?" Tara asked, her voice full of excitement. Annabelle smiled, a sinister smile that made Hannah's blood boil. "Of course it's on," Annabelle answered firmly. "I am sick of looking at that Hannah's face. So pious, so holy, acting like an angel, but her heart is rotten. She just wants to get her hands on Lucas's money. Before she gives birth to that child and solidifies her position in this house, we have to get rid of her." Tara looked slightly hesitant. "But Mom, the baby she's carrying really is Lucas's. What if he doesn't believe us? He's so in love with her." "Are you stupid or what?" Tara Annabelle snapped quietly, but her tone was sharp. "Love can disappear in an instant. Lucas is my son. I know him inside and out. His biggest weakness is his pride. If we attack him in front of the entire family, say his wife is cheating, show this photo as proof, and say that baby is illegitimate, he'll lose his temper. His pride as a man will be shattered. I'm sure he'll divorce her on the spot." Tara nodded in understanding, a wicked look on her face. "And what about the inheritance? Mom, isn't this house and some other assets in both his and Hannah's name?" "That's easy," Annabelle hissed. If they divorce because of adultery, Hannah gets nothing. She'll leave empty-handed and in shame. And all of Lucas's assets will sooner or later fall into our hands. Into your hands, Tara. I'm doing all of this for you, my dear. So your life will be secure, not like mine was. Yay, Mom, you're the best. I love you so much, Tara hugged her mother gleefully. Remember, Tara, 2 days from now, your acting has to be perfect. You have to look sad and forced to reveal this secret, and I will cry my eyes out. Lucas will melt, Annabelle said, stroking her daughter's hair. Got it, Mom. Leave it to me. I guarantee that Goody Two-Shoes and her hijab will be destroyed. The two of them then laughed together, a wicked laughter that echoed in the empty living room. In Rosie's diner, Hannah slumped to the floor, her body weak. Her hands trembled, not from fear but from a rage that boiled up to her very core. Rosie covered her mouth with both hands, her eyes wide with horror. Dear Lord in heaven, they're devils. They're devils in human form, honey. How could they? To plan your destruction in such detail. My God. Hannah wasn't crying. Her tears had run dry. All that was left was a cold, frightening stare. She turned off the television. It was all clear. The evil plan was perfectly recorded, word for word. She had what she needed. Proof of a criminal conspiracy, malicious intent, falsifying evidence, perjury, defamation. It was all in that little black box. You started this, Hannah whispered to herself, her voice hoarse with suppressed rage. You dug your own graves. She looked at the court summons lying on the cash register. The first hearing was scheduled for next week. Annabelle. Tara. Hannah spoke their names like a curse. You want to play in court? Fine. We'll play. Hannah stood up, ignoring the pain in her knee. She picked up Rosie's phone. She remembered that one of Rosie's loyal customers was a young lawyer from the Legal Aid Society named Ben. He seemed smart, idealistic, and often ate lunch there alone. Rosie had once told her that Ben often defended the downtrodden. Rosie, can I borrow your phone again? I need to call someone. Who, honey? At this hour? A lawyer, Hannah answered firmly. That Mr. Ben who often eats here? Do you have his number? Rosie nodded. I do. He gave me his card once. Good, Hannah said. The game is about to begin. And I'm going to be the one to end it. The next day at lunchtime, Rosie's diner had a special customer. Ben arrived as usual, ordering a cheeseburger and an iced tea. But today, Rosie served him with a different demeanor. Mr. Ben, after you eat, do you have a moment? Rosie asked quietly. My daughter Hannah. She needs legal help. It's very urgent. Ben raised an eyebrow. He looked over at Hannah, who was busy behind the counter. Her face looked tired but held a heavy burden. Ben nodded. Of course, Rosie. Let me just finish my lunch. An hour later, the diner was empty. Rosie closed the front door early. Ben sat at a corner table. Across from him now sat Hannah holding Adam. Hannah told him everything. The vicious slander at the baby shower, being thrown out the divorce declaration, and the lawsuit denying Adam's paternity. Ben listened intently, his face showing sympathy but also the realism of a legal practitioner. This is tough, Miss Hannah, he said honestly. Cases like this often become a he said, she said situation. Their side has an expensive lawyer and family witnesses. They will testify against you. We need evidence stronger than just words. Hannah looked at Ben calmly. I know, Mr. Ben. I didn't come empty-handed. She nodded towards Rosie. The three of them moved to the back in front of the old tube TV. I don't have a laptop, so I hope you'll understand, Hannah said. Ben was initially confused, but he went along. Hannah turned on the television and the decoder. She didn't play the recording of the baby shower. She went straight to the recording from 2 days prior. The recording of Annabelle and Tara sitting on the sofa, planning everything. At first, Ben just watched with a furrowed brow. But 5 minutes later, his posture changed completely. His eyes widened, locked on the screen. His jaw tightened. He heard everything. The photoshopped picture. The plan to call the baby illegitimate. Lucas's vulnerability to shame. And how all of Lucas's assets would fall into their hands. When the recording finished and Hannah turned it off, a heavy silence filled the small room. Ben leaned back in his chair. He rubbed his face, then looked at Hannah with a completely different expression. It was no longer a look of sympathy. It was a look of awe, mixed with restrained anger. Miss Hannah, Ben said seriously. This is no longer a simple divorce case. This isn't a custody battle. This is a pure criminal act. A conspiracy. Ben got up from his chair, pacing in the small space. They didn't just slander you, they conspired. They fabricated evidence. And in court, they will surely give false testimony under oath. This is a time bomb, ma'am, and we're holding the detonator. So what do we do? Hannah asked. We play their game, Ben said, his eyes glinting. We don't show this card now. Let them walk into that courtroom arrogantly. Let their expensive lawyer talk. And most importantly, Ben pointed towards the television, let those two, Annabelle and Tara, testify under oath. Let them lie as much as they want. Let them dig their own graves. The plan was set. Ben would represent Hannah in the civil hearing. They would let Lucas's side attack first. After they had tightened the noose around their own necks with false testimony, then Hannah would strike back. And we don't stop there. The moment they perjure themselves, we file a criminal complaint. Defamation, conspiracy, and perjury. They could be arrested that same day. What about my son? Full custody will be yours. 100%. And Lucas, he will pay every single penny of child support with interest for the humiliation he has caused. That week felt like a year. Hannah prepared herself mentally. Ben prepared all the legal documents. The day of the hearing finally arrived. The family court felt crowded and hot. The courtroom was filled with Lucas's extended family there to support him and Judge Hannah. Hannah arrived accompanied only by Ben and by Rosie, who faithfully held Adam outside the courtroom waiting to be called. Hannah wore a simple black dress and a matching hijab. Her calm face radiated a cold aura that commanded respect. Soon, the opposing party arrived. Annabelle and Tara walked in as if on a red carpet, wearing lavish clothes and flashy jewelry, their faces full of arrogance. Lucas walked behind them, his expression stiff. He wore an expensive suit flanked by a team of slick-looking lawyers. Lucas's and Hannah's eyes met for a moment. Lucas quickly looked away as if seeing something disgusting. Hannah's heart no longer ached. All she felt was disgust. The hearing began. The judge called the court to order. Lucas's lawyer immediately took the stage. Your Honor, he said, with confidence, my client, Mr. Lucas, has been the victim of a cruel deception and betrayal. His wife, Miss Hannah, has been proven to have committed adultery and has now given birth to a child from that illicit affair. The lawyer placed the photoshopped picture of Hannah on the judge's bench as Exhibit A. We demand that the court declare this child as born out of wedlock with no right to inheritance or the family name of my client. Hannah remained silent. We will now call our witnesses, the lawyer continued. First, Miss Tara, the sister of Mr. Lucas. Tara stepped forward with a feigned look of sadness. She placed her hand on the Bible to be sworn in. Miss Tara, what do you know about the relationship between the petitioner and the respondent? The lawyer asked. Tara began her act. Tears welled up in her eyes. I really didn't want to do this. I thought of Hannah as my own sister, she sobbed. I saw it with my own eyes, Your Honor. I saw Hannah bringing other men into the house when Lucas was at work. Tara lied smoothly. A murmur went through the room. Hannah remained silent. Second witness. Annabelle, the lawyer called. Annabelle came forward. This was the peak of her performance. She cried hysterically. She swore on the Bible with a theatrically trembling hand. I was the one who found that photo on my daughter-in-law's phone. The daughter-in-law I thought was so pious turned out to be a snake in the grass. She destroyed my son. The child she's carrying is not my grandchild. It's a bastard. Annabelle pointed at Hannah. Cast her out, Your Honor. Don't let her claim anything from my son. After Annabelle, it was Lucas's turn. Mr. Lucas, is it true you have filed for divorce? Yes, Your Honor, Lucas answered firmly. What made you so certain? Lucas glanced at his mother. After seeing the photo evidence and hearing my sister's testimony, I was disgusted. To be honest, she's been strange since the beginning of the pregnancy, Your Honor. There was a strange smell about her. A smell that repulsed me. I haven't touched her since. I am certain that child is not mine. That lie was the final nail in the coffin of their marriage. Lucas's lawyer smiled with satisfaction. The courtroom buzzed again. Hannah's position seemed hopeless. The judge banged his gavel. Order, Miss Hannah, you have heard all the testimony and seen the evidence presented. It is all very damning. What is your defense? Hannah took a deep breath. She stood. Your Honor, she said, her voice calm and clear, filling the entire room. Thank you for this opportunity. She turned to Ben, who gave her a firm nod. My defense begins now. The courtroom fell silent. Annabelle and Tara exchanged victorious smiles. Lucas's lawyer sat back, relaxed. Ben stood up. Your Honor, before we address all the false accusations and fabricated evidence from the petitioner's side, my client would like to present a single piece of evidence. Evidence that cannot lie, cannot commit perjury, and cannot be faked. Lucas's lawyer immediately objected. Objection. The respondent is trying to stall. What other evidence could there be? Everything is clear. Ben smiled faintly. The evidence we wish to present is the very subject of this lawsuit, Your Honor. The petitioner is suing to have a child declared illegitimate. Is it not fair for the court to at least see the child we are discussing? My client has given birth to a son. We request permission to bring the baby into this courtroom. Sneers could be heard from Lucas's family. Drama. She's trying to play the sympathy card. The judge banged his gavel. Objection overruled. This hearing is about the status of a child. It is the child's right to be present. Bailiff, please allow the witness for the respondent to enter. The back door opened. Rosie walked in with a steady stride. In her arms, wrapped in a clean, light blue blanket, was baby Adam. Hannah immediately went to Rosie and took her son into her arms. Adam's presence instantly changed Hannah's aura. Her face now radiated the strength of a mother ready to protect her child. Your Honor, Hannah said, her voice trembling with restrained emotion. This is my son. His name is Adam. And they say he is illegitimate. Lucas couldn't bring himself to look up. Ben stood again. Miss Hannah, please show your son to the court, and especially show your son to the man who is suing to deny his very existence. Hannah walked straight towards the petitioner's table where Lucas sat frozen. She stopped right in front of her ex-husband. Hannah called her voice flat and commanding. Look at me. Slowly, Lucas raised his head. His fearful eyes met Hannah's, which were as cold as ice. You lied under oath, Hannah hissed quietly. Now look at the child you called a bastard. Hannah opened the blanket covering Adam's face. Time seemed to stand still. Lucas looked down at the baby's face. His breath hitched. It was his own face. Not just similar, it was a perfect replica of his own baby pictures. The photos his mother always displayed flashed in his mind. That sharp nose, the shape of those thick eyebrows, that strong jawline, they were all his. And there on the tiny left cheek was a small brown dot. A birthmark exactly like his own. Lucas gasped. No. His hands trembled violently. His face turned ashen. All the lies he had just told, the strange smell, the disgust, not his son, now felt like a noose tightening around his neck. The large Lucas family, contingent in the back benches, began to murmur loudly. Oh my God, that's Lucas as a baby. It's identical. Look at the birthmark. That's our family's birthmark, Annabelle panicked. Her plan was falling apart. It's a coincidence, she shrieked hysterically. Don't be fooled. Lots of people have birthmarks. Lucas, don't waver. It's her dirty trick to get your money, Tara chimed in. Yeah, Lucas, don't believe it. It must be a coincidence. Hannah ignored them. A coincidence, Lucas. Your nose, your chin, your eyebrows, and this birthmark. Is all of this just a coincidence? Lucas couldn't answer. He stammered. The conviction his mother had built up for months crumbled in seconds. He had insulted and thrown away his own flesh and blood. Hannah returned to her place gracefully. Your Honor, Hannah said loudly, this is just my first piece of evidence. Evidence created directly by God to silence their lies. Now allow me to play my second piece of evidence. Evidence created by the devil. Ben stood up. Your Honor, we now request permission to play a CCTV recording from the petitioner's residence, which will prove the existence of a criminal conspiracy, fabrication of evidence, and perjury. Annabelle's and Tara's faces changed instantly. CCTV recording. Lucas's lawyer shot to his feet in a panic. Objection. There is no CCTV in my client's home, Tara screamed frantically. She's lying. She's a thief. She broke into our house last week. The judge banged his gavel hard. Sit down, Miss Tara, Mr. Ben, play the evidence. A court officer set up a projector screen. Ben handed over a flash drive. The room was deathly silent. The lights were dimmed, and an image appeared on the screen. The living room of Lucas's house. This is the recording from 2 days before the baby shower at 10 p.m., Ben said. On the screen, Annabelle and Tara appeared carrying shopping bags. Mom, it's done just like you ordered, Tara's proud voice echoed. So, what do you think, Mom? My editing skills are pretty great, right? I took that picture of Hannah, pasted a picture of one of my guy friends next to her, even though the original was a group photo. Oh my God, a shocked cry came from Lucas's family. Lucas's lawyer was frozen. Lucas felt his world collapse. The photo was a fake. The recording continued, revealing the whole rotten scheme. Excellent. Very good work, Annabelle's satisfied voice was heard. With this photo, we have a strong reason to get rid of her before she gives birth. Lucas's head snapped up. He stared at his mother, who was now trembling with fear. But Mom, the baby she's carrying really is Lucas's. Tara's voice said on the recording. And her mother's reply. Are you stupid? Or what Lucas's biggest weakness is? His pride. If we say his wife is cheating, he'll divorce her on the spot. Lucas let out a desperate roar. Mom, he screamed. He had just heard his own mother admit to using his weakness to destroy his life. He was just a stupid pawn in his mother's game. Chaos erupted in the courtroom. The family, feeling deceived, began to curse at Annabelle and Tara. No, it's fake, it's edited. Annabelle shrieked, pointing at Hannah. But the recording wasn't finished. And what about the inheritance? Mom Tara asked. That's easy. If they divorce because of adultery, Hannah gets nothing. All of Lucas's assets will sooner or later fall into our hands. The motive greed was now laid bare for all to see. The judge banged his gavel repeatedly. Bailiffs, secure those two witnesses. Do not let them leave. Police officers moved in, grabbing the arms of Annabelle and Tara, who had started to become hysterical. In the midst of the chaos, Lucas stood up. He crawled on the courtroom floor towards where Hannah stood, holding Adam. He reached her feet. Hannah, forgive me. I'm so sorry, he sobbed, broken. I was a fool, Hannah. I was blinded by my mother. Please, our son. I acknowledge him. He's my son. Give me one more chance for Adam's sake. Hannah stepped back, pulling Adam away from Lucas's touch. A divorce, Hannah said coldly. You declared it in front of 100 people at my son's party. There is no going back, Lucas. She looked at Annabelle and Tara, who were being restrained by the police. And as for you two, you think this is over. This game is not over. Hannah took the microphone. Your Honor, under oath on the Bible earlier, Annabelle and Tara lied. They committed perjury. They have defiled the sanctity of this court. Ben stood up. Your Honor, we are officially filing a criminal complaint against Annabelle and Tara for defamation, malicious conspiracy, and perjury, which carries a prison sentence. We have already asked the police to be on standby outside. Click. The sound of handcuffs locking was sharp and loud. Annabelle and Tara were dragged out like criminals. They who had entered with arrogance now left in disgrace. Lucas was still kneeling on the floor, having lost everything. Hannah, I have no one left. Please don't leave me. The game isn't over, Lucas. Hannah said. Ben continued. We are suing for material and non-material damages for all of my clients' suffering. And one more thing. As part of the punitive damages for this malicious fraud and emotional distress, we have secured a court order freezing all of your assets. The marital home will be awarded entirely to Miss Hannah as compensation. We demand that you, Mr. Lucas, vacate the premises within 24 hours. Lucas sat down, defeated. He was going to be homeless just as he had made Hannah homeless that night. The judge read the verdict. All of Lucas's petitions were denied. Full custody of Adam was granted to Hannah. And Lucas was ordered to pay a very substantial amount in child support. Hannah didn't wait for the session to be formally closed. She smoothed her dress, held Adam close, and kissed her son's cheek. We're going home, my love. We're going to start a new life. She walked with her head held high past Lucas, who was weeping on the floor. She had won, and her revenge was complete.